stand mixer, use it. This is one of the few times I'm actually going to encourage you to use your stand mixer because this dough is quite sticky, and I will be honest with you, it's a bit annoying to work with. However, if you don't have one, I will be sharing some tips with you as we go along to make your life easier. To my flour, I've added a good grating of nutmeg, which is going to give these donuts that distinct, delicious donut flavor. I've also added the sugar and salt, and you want to give these ingredients a quick toss and set this mixture to the side. In this measuring cup, I have some warm milk. To it, we're going to add 1 egg, the melted butter, and yeast. Give this mixture a good mix, and if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell. I post new videos every week. You're going to combine the wet ingredients with the dry. Now, if you're using your mixer, mix your dough on high for 3 minutes. If you're making the dough by hand, you can either mix these ingredients using a spatula or a wooden spoon, or even a handheld electric mixer. You'll see this dough is quite sticky and soft. This is how you want it to be. Do not be tempted to add extra flour. At the most, you can add an additional 1 or 2 tablespoons of flour, but keep in mind, this is the texture you want this dough to be. Now, because it's so soft, to make your life easier, you're going to add half a tablespoon of oil onto your work surface. This will prevent the dough from sticking to your board without having to add extra flour. Oil your hands as well, and you're going to start kneading the dough. This will take some time. If you've seen my previous bread video, I did touch on that. I'll leave a link to that video in the description box, but keep in mind, this will take anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes. The dough will be elastic and soft, and inevitably and eventually it will become sticky. At that point, you can use the help of a bench scraper. It's a great tool when making bread. It's very inexpensive. I think I got this one for $1, so consider getting one, especially if you love making bread. Like I said, this dough will be soft and elastic. Usually all enriched doughs have this flexible texture. And after 10 minutes of kneading, you're going to transfer the dough into a lightly greased bowl. I like to give my dough somewhat of a shape. This isn't necessary though. And you're going to cover it well using some plastic wrap or a damp kitchen towel. And this needs to rise for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. It just needs to double in size. Okay, so fast forward 1.5 hours later. At this point, you can flour your work area. We don't want the donuts to stick. The dough should have doubled in size, and you'll see it also becomes easier to work with, and it won't be as tacky. Flour the top of your dough as well. I like to press it down to pop any air bubbles, and you're going to roll this out, I'd say to about 1/2 inch thickness. Now with this dough, you'll be able to get around 12 donuts. Because I have this small donut cutter, I was able to get around 15 donuts. You don't need a donut cutter though, okay? A large cookie cutter and a small one is perfectly fine to use, or even a glass or a cup is fine. Improvise anything that's round. You're going to place the donuts onto some parchment paper, leaving some space between each donut, and let these rise again for about 20 to 30 minutes. The beauty of this dough is that you can re-roll it. It's a wonderful soft dough. So reshape it, roll it out again, and continue making your donuts. Okay, so moving on to frying these babies, I'm going to give you a few crucial tips. Now, I like to cut the donuts, the parchment paper around the donuts. It's just easier to maneuver them into the oil without, deflating them or losing their shape. Now, I find that the best temperature for frying donuts is actually around 160 degrees Celsius or 330 Fahrenheit. A lot of recipes will tell you 360, but from my experience, they just become dark and crispy. We're not making fried chicken here, okay? Cooking the donuts at a slightly lower temperature will assure you that beautiful even browning and a super soft donuts. If you have a thermometer, use it. If you don't, just make sure your donuts are bubbling gently. You may have to adjust your flame as you're cooking these, so keep that in mind. And you're going to cook these on both sides until they're beautifully golden. Set these onto a wire rack or some towels, and we're going to make a delicious glaze. For the glaze, you'll need some melted butter. To which we're going to add the milk and powdered sugar. You can add a splash of vanilla. I'm actually using vanilla powdered sugar, so I won't be adding any today. Now, depending on how you like your glaze, thick or thin, you're going to add more milk or more sugar. I personally prefer a thinner glaze. Drop your donuts 1 or 2 at a time into the glaze. Make sure you coat these entirely in the glaze. They're going to be promise you. And you're going to place these onto a wire rack to direct, the excess glaze. This glaze will set just like Krispy Kreme donuts. These will be better than any donuts you will ever buy. I need to immediately show you how soft and tender these are. I guarantee you that when you make these, you won't be able to stop, and just what? They're so good. As the glaze starts to set, it'll become this crackly, soft glaze. The entire donut will just melt.